Okay, I'm giving fair warning because I knew Dave was out there.
It's not citizen time yet.
Okay, we good? Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone out to our Layton City Council meeting this evening, September 7th. And before I get going here, it looks like we have some special guests out here in the audience that I want to identify. It looks like we have a troop or several of our scouts with us. Would one of you want to identify what troop you're from and who's your troop leader?
We are the Civil Rolls from Troop 407.
Okay, thank you for being here. We love to see it. We love to see you out there. Okay, well, as customary with our council meetings, we like to start with a prayer and a pledge, and we take turns on the council to conduct that. And this evening, it is Councilmember Bettina Smith Edmondson who is in charge tonight. So I'm going to turn the time over to her to start.
Thank you, Mayor. So first, we're going to have Luke Jensen from the Scout Troop to come up and lead us in our prayer. And then my kids, Ezekiel and Amaris Edmondson, they're going to come up and lead us in the pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank Thee for this day. Thank Thee for everything Thou hast given us. Thank Thee that we could attend this Layton City Council meeting. And please bless us that we'll be able to learn something. And please bless us that we'll be able to all drive home safely. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. All right, kiddos.
Stand me up here.
Excellent. How rewarding it is to be able to have this type of participation here, one from our scouts and then obviously for our youth. Bettina, you got some beautiful kids there. We appreciate their participation tonight. Okay, council. We do have several sets of minutes here that we need to approve, so I am looking for a motion to approve the minutes, or if anyone has any corrections or changes to the minutes, please say so beforehand.
Sit Dave.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the Layton City Council work meeting June 1st, 2023, the Layton City Council work meeting June 15th, 2023, Layton City Council meeting June 15th, 2023, City Council meeting July 26th, 2023, and the City Council meeting August 17th, 2023.
Okay, is there a second?
That was July 6th, not 26th.
July 6th, thank you.
Second.
Very good. Okay, it's been moved in second that we approve the minutes as written. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to our municipal announcements, and I know a couple of the council members have some events they'd like to share with you, so who would like to go first?
Oh, hey.
Okay.
Dave, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Thomas.
There's a concert for Sub for Santa tomorrow night. No, it's today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Starts 7:30, and it goes to the Victims Advocate, which is a Layton City, Gary, what would you call it? A Layton City program? Yeah, Victims Program. And we do the Sub for Santa, which I'm part of, runs it, the Sub for Santa for them. And so we get all the names and We don't actually deliver everything. We just wrap it all up. But the one thing that I've seen is that these are people that need things. They leave in the middle of the night with a garbage sack full of whatever they can take. And the victims advocate group takes care of them. And so it's been a real kind of a neat thing for us to do. So anyway, that's Saturday night. Come have a good time. That I can guarantee. And starts 7:30 over here at the Layton City Amphitheater, or the Ed Kinley Amphitheater. Thank you.
What's the name of the band?
Midlife Crisis. Okay. Otherwise known as Dave Thomas.
They're actually very good, and they play all eras of music. Let's say that. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to make any announcements tonight? Do you have any? Okay. I know Mr. Tyson Roberts would have some there. Councilman Roberts?
Yeah, Parks and Recreation's been working on some good activities. One family recreation opportunity coming up in a couple weeks, but start getting excited about the park after dark. So bring the family out 7 to 9 p.m. on Friday, September 22nd. So 2 weeks from tomorrow. A lot of outdoor family-friendly activities, games, as well as you can come out and make s'mores. So have dessert as well. So
It's a fun time.
Mayor Petro? I did have one I forgot about. I don't have the date on when when you can sign up, but the active pages that Davis Arts Council does, usually in the October area, October 14th is when they're going to be doing active pages. It's going to be Frankenstein, and these are free programs, but you sign up for them. I believe that sign up is going to open up sometime in September. So I'll have more information next month, but it sells out quickly, and they walk you through the park, and they tell you the story, and they always do this around Halloween time, and they also do it around Christmas. So it's a really fun thing for kids. And then after you go through this Active Pages experience, they give you a book. So it's a really fun thing that you can keep an eye out for. If you go to davisarts.org, you'll be able to sign up there.
And there may be a special ride appearing at both of those events on behalf of the Layton Rotarians, who will also be selling hot chocolate or root beer, depending on the temperature. Okay.
I want you to announce for me. You're a little more.
I will continue to announce because our next item on our business is going to be a proclamation. However, prior to that, I want you to be aware of some other interesting and educational items that were going to be taking place around the county. September, as you may know, was recognized by Governor Cox as Constitution Awareness Month. And there's been a couple of events already. Last year, we were lucky enough to be able to have the 9/11 event that is put on by the Taylor Foundation, Brent Taylor Foundation. This year, it's going to be held up in Weber County. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, then I would highly recommend that you go there. It's actually opening up this weekend. Right now, they're doing the school tours today and tomorrow, but it is open to the public, so that's something that is very enlightening. But then on September 14th through the 16th in Bountiful is the Freedom Light Festival. And this is, I have not attended. This is going to be my first year, but I have heard what a fantastic job they do with this. It's a lot of different readings and characters that are in full costume, and they really educate everyone as far as the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and so that's something that you need to be aware of. And then on the 17th, right here in Layton City, up at Layton Christian Academy, or Christian Life Center, I should say, at 7 p.m., there is going to be a concert or a devotional, and the speaker's going to be David Barton. So that's another good event. So I think there's a lot of things here that is coming up. There's going to be another one on the 24th, and then a reading of the Constitution is going to take place in Salt Lake. So this is kind of like statewide, I said, but these are things that are kind of close here to home that I think would be valuable for all of us to kind of participate and help share the awareness of what our freedom is here in this great continent that we live on. So with that, I will see if there's any other announcements.
Just had a mayor, thank you. The service events on Saturday. Do you want to
thank
mention
you.
that?
Well, you can.
No, you're good.
Well, I don't mean to, but I mean, certainly I like to involve everyone. But just so you know, this is something that has taken place a couple of years now. It's the 9/11 Day of Service. Layton City has been very fortunate. We've had a lot of great people who have participated in the years past, and we have several projects again this year. They're going to be done throughout the entire city. I would highly recommend everyone to get out and participate. It's a great way to kind of really bond and understand and network with other folks in our community. And you can find out about those projects if you go on to the Just Serve website. There is a list of them, and you can sign up right then, or you can go to the event. But the one thing I want to remind everyone to make sure you do is actually sign the paper, let them know that you're there, and they'll keep track of the hours. And in this case, some of the projects that are going to be taking place happens to be some fireland mitigation up on our East Bench. And as long as we keep track of those man hours, we can then turn those into FEMA, and that gives us credit to be able to help us should we have an event or basically receive some federal funding. So it's very valuable for all of us to kind of help, because while we have a fantastic staff that works their guts out, literally, this is an opportunity for us to help them as well. So anyway, good job, Councilman Morris, for reminding me of that. Hopefully that's it now. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go on then to item number 3 of our agenda, which is a proclamation that I'll be reading. And again, it's in regard to Constitution Week. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties and the foundation of our freedom, embodies the principles of government in a citizen-centered republic dedicated to rules by law. And whereas the Constitution of the United States of America is an inspiring document that is a beacon of hope for freedom and other nations, many of which desire to replicate not only its thought-provoking words, but also its effective accomplishments, which have changed the world's history for the better. And whereas September 17th, 2023 marks the 236th anniversary of the event and framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by a gathering of dedicated, spirited, and inspired citizens referred to as the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting, necessary, and proper to accord official recognition and honor of this magnificent document and its memorial anniversary, and to the patriotic celebration which it commemorates, keeping its importance utmost in our hearts, minds, and whereas Public Law 915 establishes the issuing of the proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Joy Petro, Mayor of Layton City, along with the Layton City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties. I have set my hand and caused this seal of my office to affix on the 7th day of September, 2023. We do have an actual proclamation here that we will be putting in our display case out here. And certainly maybe if you're scouts, I can't think of a better meeting you could be at tonight, but perhaps afterwards we can gain a picture with you and holding this document so that we can commemorate how important it is that the youth is here tonight and hopefully will carry on these liberties for us. So with that, I'll now turn the time over to our citizens. This is the time of our meeting where we like to hear comments from our citizens, providing it's additional items that are not necessarily on our agenda items. So if there's anything that you'd like to address the council, please come up to either podium here, state your name and address for the record, and just be aware that we are listening. We are taking your information. We might not engage. We won't engage in a debate, but certainly we do want to hear any comments that you have at this time.
Hello, thank you for letting me come up here and speak my mind. Chris Latham, I live at 3280 Boulder Drive. We just moved back here to Layton about 4 years ago. Mayor and Dave, we grew up in the same neighborhood. My maiden name's Alvy.
Oh, I know exactly what home you grew up in.
You know me. Anyway, so I'm just coming to ask if there is any kind of plans in place, what they are and when they will be coming forward for work on Valley View Drive. Since, with all the construction that's happened, and then since they've opened up the top there, that, up by 193, we have so much bike traffic, so many walkers, so many there, and the road is full of potholes. It's just a mess. And I just wondered if there's anything in the books. If there's not, how can we get it on the books? We just need some help up there. But Valley View Drive is a mess. And the buses, when the buses come, the kids are waiting on the side of the road. When it's snowy, the kids are in the road waiting for the buses. It's just we need some attention up there. And like I said, with the construction that's just completed, we've got a lot more traffic and a lot more bike traffic and pedestrians as well. That's it.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that.
All these people are here with you.
They're welcome to.
I was not planning on this. I was just going to come and sit right next to her. I'm Wendy Kirstensen. I live in Layton Ridge neighborhood, and how do I say this? The road is really, really bumpy. When we've noticed, like she said, a lot of bikers. It seems like maybe since '89 has changed. And they've routed the bikes on the frontage road. And then they have the access to continue down into South Weber. It's really hard. The bikes definitely have discovered that's the route. And it's really hard. There's so many joggers. I'm one of them. I feel like I take my life into my own hand when I jog out my own door. Mm-hmm. And walkers. My husband walks a lot too. And I don't know, maybe I have the biggest complaint with the potholes. Maybe too much information, but I've recently, a few months ago, had a double mastectomy. And for many months, it was so painful to ride on the east side of the road. And so we became English drivers. We drove on the left side of the road, on the west side of the road, where it has been dug out, and it's just beautiful. We'd love it to be on the other side too, even if it's just that. I don't know if the residents would need to help pay for curbing and sidewalk. I don't know how everyone feels about that, but I'd love the road to be a little softer. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Melissa Bailey, and I live at 3210 East Jacob Circle. I live by these people, and I walk my dogs 5 days a week on Valley View, and it's a nightmare. It's so bad now, and there's no sidewalks except for just in a small area on the west side, and there's no bike path, like they're saying no marked bike path. I have 4 children. There's nowhere for when they're waiting for the bus. They're in the road. They're on the side of the road. There's nowhere for them to stand safely. When it snows, I usually wait down with them in my Suburban until the bus comes because there's nowhere for them to stand. And I'm worried they're going to get hit by a car. And also Boulder Drive, we live up Boulder Drive, and it's super, super dangerous. It gets really, really icy in the winter, and people slide through that stop sign all the time, and that's where the kids wait for the bus. And so I'm just super worried that a kid's going to get taken out, like something bad's going to really happen. And so that's why I wait with the kids. A lot of the other moms whose kids I wait with, they're at work. And so I'm the designated waiter. And it's just really bad. Like there's holes all in the road. When I'm walking with the dogs, like I'm worried that I'm going to sprain my ankle, break my leg. Like there's a lot of elderly people that walk along that road. The bikers are out of control. Like they're not even like following behind each other. A lot of times they're just like riding side by side. And so when I've been driving down the road, I'll have to drive my car into the other lane to get around them. So it's just a really dangerous situation. And I've talked to many, many people that live where we live, and they feel the same way. Unfortunately, not very many of us came to state our concerns, but we're just hoping the city will look into that. We realize it costs a lot of money, but I think it's for safety reasons. I think it's worth the city's time to look into it. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
All right, I'm Eric Tate. I live on Layton Ridge Drive as well. I just want to echo everyone's statement about Valley View Drive. It's horrendous. It was my sentiment that UDOT should pay for it, all their trucks to, fix up 89. We're driving on that road every single day. I thought they were going to fix it. So when the road was done, we called them. They said, no, it's Layton City's responsibility. We called Layton City, but there was no plans to repave that section. So that's kind of why we're here. It's really bad right now. There's actually no room for the bikers that they've funneled onto our road to go. I'm pretty sure someone's going to get hit because there's a lot of blind corners there, and people are speeding down that road. That's for sure. So I just agree with everyone here. I think something needs to be done. I would go back to UDOT and get the money from them. But
Thank you.
My name's Mike Latham, and I just think Valley View's been forgotten about. Seems like people are running amok there. Everybody on Valley View has done their own little asphalt, put mailboxes, trees, bushes, done their own thing, but the way to solve the problem is get a sidewalk and a curb and gutter and repave it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Switch it up.
Angela Ellsworth, 1786 North, 3300 East. I live up Boulder Drive as well. We moved there 3 years ago, and I grew up in this area pretty much most of my life, and there's kind of a reason that it's forgotten. It's like a little hidden treasure I didn't even know it existed. And, Fernwood is my backyard, and it's like this peace haven up there. But that road is true. And what Melissa says, she really is the neighborhood mom, and she watches out for all of our kids. I'm a kindergarten teacher, and I can't stay at the bus stop, but she does. And it's true, they just need a sidewalk to be able to walk on and to be able, it's kind of terrifying as a parent, actually, to leave to go to school and have my own child walk and hope that he makes it safely to school. So I would really love a sidewalk for my kids. That's
Thank
all.
you. Anyone else? Okay, I appreciate all your comments, and definitely will take this into consideration. I will say that, yes, this is a very, very costly improvement to that area, and it will require some taking of property in order to do that. So it's one of those things that we've talked about but we haven't come to a conclusion yet. So I'm sure we can, have further discussion. But just so you know, it will impact several people along that road. But I understand the safety factor here that you're speaking about. So thank you. Anything else?
Well, yeah, I was just going to echo that. The concerns are valid. The city's aware of them. And I was just thinking in my mind, I think other than 2700 West, which is a major transportation corridor that's being connected to the West Davis corridor, in the last 2 years, there has not been a street in Layton City that's been talked about more frequently or in more detail than Valley View. So it has not been forgotten. The solution to it is complicated, as the mayor referenced. The city staff, at the direction of the council, the mayor, have looked at multiple designs to try to accommodate, balance the safety, which we recognize is an issue for both bikers and walkers, but also to be sensitive to private property rights. And as the mayor indicated, we typically, in Layton, we don't want to begin, at least from staff perspective, to start the process of building roads that are designed substandard in terms of the cross sections, the widths, the travel lane widths, et cetera, the separations and so forth. The topography along Valley View is extremely difficult. On the west side of the road, it drops off significantly, so you have reverse grade driveways that are there. And if you widen the road, those get exacerbated significantly. Some of those driveways go from already being almost intolerable to 16, 17, 18%, and your driveway would basically stop at your front door. So for all intents and purposes, in a winter event, you're not going to be able to get into your house or get out of your house unless somebody has plowed that driveway. Again, these are not excuses. They're just realities. On the other side, the elevation, the topography climbs, right? So for those good people who live on the west side, or east side of the road, if you widen the road to a certain extent, then suddenly everybody has retaining walls in front of their house, and there's a significant encroachment into their property. And as the mayor touched on, there are, under a standard cross-section design, there are probably 4 homes along there that will have to be taken. They'll have to be purchased by the city and the people. And so it's we don't know what the answer is. We continue to look at it. In fact, we just had a discussion with staff last week about this very issue. Again, let's keep looking to find that balance. We understand that the potholes and stuff are an issue that can be addressed and should be addressed now, and we're working on a plan to be able to do that. But the long-term solution is delicate. We're not trying to avoid it. It's a reality. The expense is what it is, but it's just trying to balance those properties. Do we go and, as a city, again, this is a decision the council takes seriously, do we go and say to 4 homeowners along Valley View and say, we're going to take your home in order to put a sidewalk in? It isn't necessary to accommodate the traffic volumes, because the width of the current road will actually accommodate the traffic volumes from an engineering perspective. Some people don't believe it, but that's actually true. And so again, it's a delicate balance as an elected official to say, do we take a citizen's home to put in a sidewalk? And so I just wanted to inform you about that. We're continuing to look at it, and our hope is that in the very short time frame, we'll be able to take care of some of these aesthetic issues and some of these nuisance issues and make the road as it is. The longer term solution may be down the road a little bit, but there's certainly some things we can do now, and the staff is actively working on that to come up with a plan. So thank you for bringing that to our attention and reminding us about that. It's good to have people actually come and articulate the specific things that they're concerned about and where you live at relative to that. So feel free to call the staff anytime. You can call myself, Alex Jensen, the city manager. You can call into the main office. Or Mr. Steve Jackson's here, our city engineer, and Steve's been the main one that's been working on this for, like I say, a couple of years. We've got more revisions or design alternatives you can shake a stick at in the files, but they're complicated. And again, the mayor and council have been vigilant about this and concerned about this. So I don't mean to belabor it, but thank you for being here, and we're happy to answer any questions at any point in time, and we'll always be direct with you. We'll be honest with you about where we're at and what we think we can do. And but we know it's an issue, so thank you. I'm not controlling the meeting. You'd have to work through the mayor, see what she would allow.
Typically, we don't, but go ahead, because this is we want to make sure we address the issue, but you still need to come up to the mic again.
I wish my husband was here. He has a master's in city planning, so he'd understand that more. I didn't quite understand, and I want to be able to bring that back and understand it. Why would we take people's homes because of the grade of the street? It's like higher up or something. We'd have to take their homes to be able to put in a sidewalk.
Yes.
Okay.
So with the width of the road, again, because and Steve could jump in as well, but not to belabor it, Mayor, you can shut me down anytime, but the road is this wide, and then to the west, it immediately drops off to 89, right? So you've got a downward slope, reverse grade driveways, which under our current standards would never be allowed to be built, but they were back in the day that they were built along there. They have these reverse grade driveways. And so on the east side, the ground goes up the mountain. On the west side, it drops off. So if you widen that, you're going to steepen both on the east and the west the angles of approach to your house. So in order to do that, we have standards with regard, based out of functionality, as to how steep a sidewalk can be to provide safe access to your home. Well, when you try to put the same amount of a sidewalk in a narrower area, then instead of a slope maybe being like this, it becomes like this. So in some cases, the new drive approach would have to go right to the front of your door like this, which makes it impossible. The functionality of your driveway and your access to your house goes away. And people don't believe that, but we've designed it. We've looked at every house. We have looked at every house along there and with GIS and with survey data. And so we're pretty comfortable in that assessment. There are others that are some variation of that. There would be many, many homes, in fact, very few homes, as I recall, along Valley View would not be impacted in some way, shape, or form. But there are 3, 4, 5 from memory that the change in the elevation would be such that, for all intents and purposes, they could not access their home. And it's not just about the mailboxes and the shrubs. We're aware of all that encroachment that's taken place. So that's the challenge, is how can we look at a cross-section that can hopefully provide some more safety for walkers and bikers, especially for the children, and then and still not create a tremendous swath of destruction and impact, to people who actually live on Valley View Drive. And it's usually we're pretty good at solving those. We've had pretty good luck. We have excellent staff. Our engineering staff is very, very good, very creative. But this one is a conundrum at this point in time, but we continue to work on it. So that's the issue. We'd be delighted to meet with any of you, if you want to come in as a group or something, and we could sit down and show you the designs and walk through those if you have specific issues. Anyway, help's on the way in the form of it is. I'm not sure at this point in time, but like I say, it's a priority for the council. And as I say, we talk about this issue all the time because we realize it's an issue. And we don't, editorial comment, I apologize for taking so much time, but generally, this is not the way that Layton City, most of our roads, we don't allow to get in this kind of a situation, right? We just don't. We have a higher standard than that. And so we recognize this, and we want to get it addressed. Another issue that's at play up there is you have underground utilities that need to be assessed: water lines, sewer lines, storm drain lines, those kind of things. We don't want to reconstruct a brand new road over the top of utilities that are going to expire in 5 years. Then we've wasted a lot of the taxpayers' money. So we're trying to do some analysis of the life expectancy of some of those utilities, and so when we're in doing the road in whatever that shape that takes, not for potholes, but for something more structurally, then we're not wasting taxpayer dollars because we're just going to dig up in 3 years what we just put down today. So it's a complicated kind of a A to Z examination of it, and it takes time. But anyway, thank you for participation. Your questions are great. And
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jensen. I will tell you, I have full confidence in this council. I mean, they definitely are willing to vet things out, and they are very physically responsible with the city's money. So I know that once they feel good about a decision on this, we'll move forward. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to our consent items. just for the educational portion of this meeting for the scouts there. Consent items are items that can be considered by the council in one singular motion. So we might have 4 or 5 different topics, but we only need to vote once. So with that, we're going to go on to item number A, and our city attorney, Mr. Gary Crane, is going to present that information to the council.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. We have before you ordinance 23-12, and it is an adjustment in our on-street parking ordinance. And the purpose of the change is our ordinance enforcement officers came in the other day, and a little while ago, and they indicated that enforcement sometimes of vehicles on streets, vehicles, trailers, boats, that type of thing on the streets is a very difficult matter. And we looked at the ordinance to try and figure out how we could make it a little easier for them, but at the same time be fair to citizens who are loading, unloading, who have it there for a legitimate reason. And one of the things we noticed was that the 24-hour limitation was causing a problem. If you're immediately loading or unloading, people seem to understand that there's a time period involved. But what we're having in the actual wording, as it currently was before we actually made this change, is individuals that would know that they could park there for 24 hours and then move it to another location for 24 hours and move it to another location for 24 hours. So we were defeating the purpose of trying to get these off the street when they shouldn't be there. At the same time, allowing people to be there enough time to be able to do the things that people do. So we recommend taking out the 24-hour period, which would allow them to be able to enforce. They'd be able to go talk to people, find out what they're doing with the item, the vehicle, the trailer on the street, and then be able to assess whether or not they were loading or legitimately loading or unloading, to be able to give a reasonable period of time. Sometimes it's not always 24 hours. Sometimes you got it there for a couple of days if you're getting ready to go on a trip as a family. And so they wanted the flexibility to be able to do that. So that's what this ordinance does, is it provides that flexibility if you pass it this evening.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have any questions regarding this item? I know we had a healthy discussion in the work meeting, but certainly if there's any additional questions, please feel free to ask now. Okay.
I don't have a question, just understanding that this issue, removing this one line, from the 24-hour requirement for them to move, just allows, like you said, flexibility for our enforcement officers to do what they need to do. So I think it's a good suggestion, a good change to the ordinance that just allows people to operate the way that we all normally operate without being, having fear of somebody calling on you or you having to remove something or being cited or whatnot. So I think it's a good suggestion.
Thank you. Okay, seeing that there's no other comments, let's go ahead and go on to item number B, and that item is going to be presented by Mr. Steve Jackson.
Mayor, Council, thank you for the time tonight. Before you is Resolution 2342. It's a postponement of improvements agreement between Layton City and the Ute and Gail Knowlton Trust for property on Lot 2 of the Knowlton 2-lot subdivision located approximately 2417 North Fairfield Road. Currently on the west side of Fairfield Road between Antelope Drive and Love Lane, there is no sidewalk currently installed. The family trust is separating or splitting their parcel to ag land and then an existing home, and so the city has requested that they sign this postponement agreement allowing for a requirement that sidewalk be installed at a future date along that portion of the existing home. No current development is taking place, but we wanted to take an opportunity to make sure that we had a mechanism in place to get that sidewalk installed at a future time. So they've agreed to sign this postponement of improvements agreement, and so staff recommends that the council adopt resolution 2342 authorizing the city manager to execute the postponement of improvements agreements between Layton City and the Ute and Gail Knowlton Trust dated November 29th, 1991 for the postponement of sidewalk installation. Is there any questions I can answer on that?
Mayor, may I? Steve, are there any other postponement agreements along that road?
Not to my knowledge. There's some research that needs to happen. A lot of times these come up as the parcels kind of split or trade hands and things like that, but I don't know of any others on this property. So,
Steve, can you, just so that maybe the residents don't feel like this is us just kind of allowing developers not to do what they're supposed to, can you just speak to how many of these postponement agreements we typically enter into?
So this is the first one that I've done in 16 years since I've been here. I'm not a fan of them, but there are occasions when they are necessary. And this one in particular, we don't have a mechanism where they're actually developing. They're just splitting the parcel, and it's an existing home there. And so typically, if they're built before that requirement was in place, sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. But we did want to take advantage of the fact that we could get this in place, and then if any future development occurs on that ag land, they would also be required to install that sidewalk. So,
I just have a process question.
yeah.
So the resolution states that this postponement is until a certain date that the council, identifies. And I know that when we do a lot of other things, we have to actually set a particular date. In this instance, would there be some type of leeway? So let's say, for example, the council decides on January 1st of 2025, that's the date. Something happens, there's 75%, development, and we decide that January 1 is that date. Is there some type of grace period or a certain amount of time that the residents would have before they would have to put that in? Like, is that something that's built in, or is that just something that we would handle when it comes up?
Yeah, we would handle that when it comes up. The city would be flexible. A lot of times when these occur, it would be the city saying, hey, we're going to put this whole sidewalk in, or, there's a separate project and this is the cost. If you'd like to participate, we would actually probably hire a contractor and just do the whole section at once. But if not, we would say, hey, this is the time you need to do it. And then we would give them a time frame to find a contractor and take care of it themselves. So. Yeah.
Councilman Robert, did you have a question?
Yeah, a couple points. Just to be clear, for clarification, the other side of the road has full sidewalk, the whole length that we're talking about, right?
The east side of the road has full sidewalk.
And thank you, because as an owner of an agriculture property, I can see how this could really be an undue burden that really would be pointless, because it would be a sidewalk that wouldn't lead anywhere on either side. So I think it's a good move. So thank you to staff.
Okay, thank you.
No further questions? If not, council, I'll bring it back to you to make a motion regarding our consent items.
I move that we approve ordinance 23-12 for the parking restriction amendments and resolution 23-42 for the postponement of improvements dealing with the Ute and Gail Knowlton Trust.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved in second that we approve the consent items as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We have one more item on our agenda here, which is a public hearing. And I believe Chad Wilkinson is going to present this information to it. It's regarding a easement vacation on Main, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say. I was like, what?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a proposed easement vacation. The properties that are the subject of this easement vacation are outlined in yellow. There's a property here, a larger property that's currently being developed as the Towns on Main project. Warhead Properties are the owner of that. And then another property owned by the Smaleys, Steve and Shannon Smaley, that is just to the east. This is the approximate location of the easement. This is the Smaley property, and then the Warhead Towns on Main property. That orange line represents the approximate location of that easement. The reason that easement exists is that in the past, the sewer for that entire neighborhood up there ran down this property. This was before the connection of Avalon and Main Street, before that intersection existed. When that intersection was completed, that sewer was rerouted down to the intersection of Avalon and Main within that public street. Subsequently, that sewer line has been removed from that easement, and the developers of the Towns on Main project would like to have that easement vacated so they can have that land unencumbered. We've worked with our engineering division. There's no need for that easement to exist. anymore. State law requires, because this is a municipal utility easement, that we do go through a public hearing process for the council to give approval of this by ordinance. We are recommending approval of this proposed easement vacation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, council, do you have any questions on this vacation? Sorry, I gotta make fun when I can.
Mayor, I have a question. Chad, can you go back one, please? Is that, so when you go from off of Main Street there, that dark rectangle right with the intersection, is that a sign?
Yes, there's a billboard.
Is that going to be, what's the story of that sign, or
As part of the development, there's essentially a phased access plan for this property. So there will be an expiration of the lease for that eventually. And the developer's plan is to remove that sign and then use that for access. So you'll see, in the meantime, there'll be an access here on the north, close to the bread store. They'll come through, but eventually that will be, and then there's another access through the property. That they've got an apartment portion of the property here to the east. But so eventually there will be an access that will line up with the street, close to Bayview Park there, and there'll be a fully signalized intersection there. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to open up the public hearing.
I make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Okay. Okay, the public hearing is now open. If anyone in the audience wishes to speak regarding this particular item, then you're welcome to come up to the podium. Okay, seeing that there's none, I'll bring it back to council. Council, I need a motion to close the public hearing and take action regarding the easement.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve, or that we close the public hearing and that we approve ordinance 2318, the easement vacation for the towns on Main.
Okay. It's been moved in second that we approve the ordinance 23-18. I can do a unanimous vote, can I, on this? Or do I need to do roll call since it's a public hearing? Roll call?
Roll call.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll go ahead and go through a roll call then regarding the ordinance 23-18. I'll start down here with Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Smith Edmondson.
Aye.
Sorry, I shouldn't have looked at you. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Bloxham.
Yes.
Councilman Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, there you have it. It's unanimous. And that was our last item on our agenda, unless there's any unfinished business here. Is there? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you. Okay, we want to thank everyone for being here tonight. We appreciate the comments. And like I said, I think it'd be great if we have our proclamation photo with our scouts here. So thank you.